Hello and welcome to the program. I am Folashade Ogrinde. Nigeria ends its badly needed foreign exchange from the sale of crude oil, but sadly this has been a challenge over the years as increased incidents of pipeline sabotage and crude oil theft have continued to rise. While the federal government says it is doing all it can to stop the menace, even going as far as entering into an agreement with a private security firm, the number of crude oil extraction continues to decline. Recently, the Nnpcl says Nigeria recorded 139 crude oil theft incidents between July 22 and July 28. It added that while illegal connections were highest in Bayelsa State, thriving illegal refineries were discovered mostly in Bayelsa and Rivers State. Now to discuss this further, Dr. Diron Faribe, Chairman, International Energy Services Limited, joins me now. Thank you very much for joining us. Now, Nigeria has recorded a staggering number of crude oil incidents within a week in July 2023. What does this say about Nigeria's fight against the menace of crude oil theft?
Well, it is indeed a menace, and has become a terrible thing for this country. And it's quite unfortunate that we are experiencing this on a large scale. If you listen to the CEO of Nnpcl some 2 weeks ago, he said that there were about 162 illegal pipeline connections. What was the pipeline connections all about? It was crude oil theft. And the problem has always been that when a problem starts and you don't nip it in the bud, it will take a serious dimension like we are having now. And we recall the episode some time ago, was it last year, that a secret pipeline that had been on for about 9 years, that was siphoning crude through an illegal channel. And if the illegal pipeline connection like that existed for about 9 years before it was discovered, it shows the lack of integrity on the part of so many stakeholders or operators in the industry. We say that the company whose oil was being siphoned for about 9 years wouldn't know that its oil was being stolen? Or who are the agents of government that are primarily responsible for monitoring and guiding against this type of thing? And also the security agencies, because crude oil theft is not carried in a handbag that you can carry just like if you are carrying a laptop. It's not even carried in a bucket. So if this type of thing is going on, it passes through territorial waters. The vessels that were carrying the crude oil to international markets, we say that no security agency was compromised in the process. So, but the fundamental thing is that this problem has assumed its dimension, and it has become an industry of its own. Every day, the security agencies were destroying illegal refineries, and the crude oil theft were meant for the illegal refineries. But much more than that is that the crude oil theft occurs whereby the perpetrators ship the crude oil to across the territorial waters of Nigeria. And let me tell you this: there was one OML that one of the oil companies had to abandon because the menace of oil theft was so much that the company was losing a lot of money. That's in the eastern part of the country. Now, some 2-3 years ago, an indigenous company bought into this OML, and they had to they resumed operation. And what was the practices of crude oil theft? that appalled the IOC to abandon the OML many years ago, now started in even taking a new dimension. And the new operator has to shout out that the crude oil from its operation was being stolen up to the level of about 95% of its production. Now, you can imagine the amount of financial losses any operator operating in that situation will incur. And my own view about this situation is that the government will just have to take a new approach to solving the problem of oil theft.
Now, the Nnpcl says the illegal connections discovered were highest in Bayelsa State, and thriving illegal refineries were discovered mostly in Bayelsa and Rivers State. Now, since this information is readily available, why has relevant agencies found it difficult to stop these oil thieves despite the precision of the information and intelligence?
Well, there has been a lot of allegation here and there. You remember, Sari Dokubo was accusing the security agencies that they were indeed complicit, in the crude oil theft, and was vehemently denied by the armed forces, the Navy, and so on. Now, for ordinary Nigerians, people will have to be reading through between the lines that, like I said before, crude oil theft is done in a way that you cannot say it is hidden. If you can't carry a barrel of crude oil in a handbag or in a bucket, so when you get this oil into tankers or trucks, whichever means of transportation it is, it should not escape it should not escape the security agencies that are supposed to monitor our environment. Let's take, for example, and this is a very serious matter, simply because the security agencies, for example, the Navy, will you say that some illegal things are being carried out that will affect the security of the nation, and you said you are not aware? So the security agencies must consider this as a challenge to their integrity. It's one thing to be pushing blames, passing the buck that we are not responsible, we don't know anything. But one fundamental thing is that government on its part too, we have been talking about discovering of so many cases, so many illegal pipelines or evidence of oil theft. But tell me, how many people have been prosecuted as a deterrent and punished as a deterrent to this problem? So it's you don't hear anything. They would tell you that people have been this has been identified here, crude oil has been stolen here and there, but there's an issue of impunity, and as long as this continues, I can tell you that the crude oil theft will continue, and if people are being punished, whatever, either you imprison them or you do whatever, to any kind of punishment to them, and many of them will think twice before engaging in this nefarious business. So it's left to government. If government is damn serious about it, but the security agencies, they cannot absorb themselves from the complicity, in this matter of crude oil theft.
Now, how well will you appraise some of the strategies deployed by the federal government to eradicate crude oil theft?
Efforts are being made, but we want to know that to what extent has the effort been effective. It's not just taking being lackadaisical about this. If government is damn serious about stopping this, they have to be more proactive, not reactive, to the issue of oil theft. And because so far it has been a case of reactive measures, but they have to carry the fight to the doorstep of the crude thieves. Like, for example, okay, they are now deploying Air Force to be monitoring. So, but when you go to this extent, you can imagine that if Air Force will have to be bombing and dropping, bombs here and there, in the process, innocent people might be killed, so, but this problem is on ground, and then you have to deploy, some other, you have to employ some other methods, and no amount of money or fund you put into invest in this monitoring and checkmating these people will be too high, because the losses to the country can be said to be humongous. And that is why government has to take effective measures. But to me, like I said before, government has to engage the leaders of Niger Delta, and then because the problems are being carried out in various communities where we have local government and we have state government. So they cannot say that, they cannot just wash off their hands as if they are not concerned. There are some important personalities in the society who are involved in this nefarious business, and that. But if government, have to get to a round table conference with stakeholders in those areas, I think we might be there's some truths may come out, and approach and suggestions about how to combat this problem from the grassroots, will have to be profiled.
Well, we'll take a break here, but Money Matters returns shortly. Do stay with us. Welcome back to the program. If you're just joining us, I've been discussing the rising spate of crude oil theft in Nigeria with Dr. Diron Faribe, who is the chairman, International Energy Services Limited. I thank you very much for staying with us. Now, in December last year, the federal government awarded a pipeline surveillance contract to Nnpcl Security Services Nigeria Limited, owned by government Nnpcl, also known as Tompolo. Now, would you say this move has been a success or failure?
Well, I think there has been a lot of debate as to the effectiveness of this contractual arrangements. Even at the time this one was done, it was said to be maybe an arrangement that was doomed to failure. But some people praise it, that, oh yes, we have now found solution to it. But given the fact that the problem still persists, shows that that there's something is still wrong somewhere. I don't have details about the method being employed, but at the same time, the taste of the pudding is in the eating. If there's a contract, a surveillance contract in place, and the menace, still persists and even still on the increase, then you can judge for yourself whether that arrangement is yielding the desired result. Maybe it's producing results in the areas for which the contrast, the surveillance covered, but it was said that it was these contracts with Tompolo that yielded the information about the illegal pipeline connected to an offshore location for 9 years. Well, the veracity of that should be tested, but whether it was that was the case, But the fact remains that given this current situation we have, we can see that there's not been much success with that arrangement. And it does show that there has to be some other arrangements, much more than this contract surveillance. So unfortunately that government is spending billions of naira for this kind of thing, but the results is still limited. I'm not in the position to determine, whether it should the level of the success ratio of this, but the fundamental thing that should concern every Nigerian is that a stop must be put to this, and the fact that there still continue to be, illegal pipelines all over the place every day being reported. All concerned should take note that their integrity, their position is being challenged, particularly the security agencies. As many people have alleged that the security agencies are complicit, and they could deny. Obviously, anybody, even people that you catch them red-handed, will still deny that they are committing the crime. So, but if the security agencies wants to acquit themselves, they have to do much more and show Nigerians that indeed they are up to the task of protecting the interests of the country.
Now, the Nigerian Navy has been roped into the controversy of oil theft despite several denials. What do you make of this?
If any tanker comes to this country to lift crude oil and the Navy, naval authorities are saying they don't know, they are not aware, and so on. Well, they should also remember that Nigerians, have their own consideration, have their own thought, but it is then the responsibility of the government that appoint these security personnel and put them in place that way, and that will now have to make them to account for their act of omission or commission. But the fact remains that today there is so much distrust between the security agencies and Nigerian people, and they should know that no matter the level of denial by anybody for that matter, even the oil operators, at any level, because in this particular case, when something is lost, they will say that everybody is a thief, especially those who are operating around that area. Even some people have accused the government that high government officials were involved, are complicit. So when you have allegations right, left, and center, it does not portray the country to be a serious place. So government itself that has overall responsibility for for this country will then know that they have a lot of things to do, and this is a menace that has to be addressed, realistically, and show to Nigerians that indeed government is equal to the task. Government officials, political leaders, the communities, and the operators in the industry. There was a time I said, that when this illegal pipeline that was said to have gone on for 9 years. My suggestion at that time that there must be a panel of judicial panel of inquiry. Let everybody come there to state its own case. The security agencies, Navy, and the oil operators, even government agencies are responsible for monitoring, because those who know the system, that the same of oil and gas operation in this country, will be able to tell you that there was, if oil is being produced on a daily basis, the oil going from wellhead to flow station, from there to the terminal and so on, and you now say that you don't really know that your oil is being siphoned, tell me another story. So, and people who know the operation of the industry would readily admit to you that there are a lot of things going on that people are not seeing the truth. But I felt at that point in time that, okay, if you bring operators, if you bring everybody to the judicial panel of inquiry, and they are now making public statement on oath, and whoever is found to have told lies will have to face the wrath of the law under the principle of perjury. So, but they set up, the last administration set up a committee to look into this problem. But have you ever heard anything about the outcome of the inquiry through the committee? So this is the kind of thing that we have. When a serious matter like this, we are approaching it with kid glove. Obviously the perpetrators know that nothing will happen. But by the time they are now imposing stiff penalties on the perpetrators of this heinous crime, because it's a crime taking place every day, and you allow the perpetrators to go scot-free. So that will embolden some other people who want to do such things, because they know that at the end of the day, nothing will happen to them. So government has to look at this issue from various ramifications and take appropriate measures to assure Nigerians that we are in safe hand, at least to protect not just the people, but the property and the resources of the country.
Now, the Nigerian Navy recently announced that it has begun expanding its coverage of the Falcon Eye Maritime Domain Awareness System to the creeks and coastal areas. How do you appraise this strategy?
The taste of the pudding is in the eating. There is one thing for people to come up with a strategy, but do you actually follow through? There are so many things they will say at the high government level that they will do to combat certain problems. And there's never lack of a strategy, but how effective is the strategy, and how is the pursuance of this strategy, in achieving the objective. I used to say, for so many areas of our life, our national life, we should do post-mortem, post-impact analysis or impact assessment, policy impact assessment, to check, okay, the strategy or the policy we put in place, has it worked? Have the strategy, the approaches or the policies worked? To what extent? Where should we make amendment, modification? Where can we re-strategize? But if we come up with a policy today and everybody goes back to bed, at the end of the day, you discover that nothing is achieved. When you see the various problems that are confronting Nigeria today, you then see that are the people actually mindful of the problems and action that they have taken. But this is a serious thing in our country. So people should. Some people will say that, oh, Nigerians, there are no Nigerians, and because we behave at times as if we are foreigners in our country, and we just close our eyes to a number of issues that we ought to address realistically. But I think people will still have to continue to talk and sensitize the leaders, who are responsible or who are put in charge of taking appropriate measures to address some of these problems.
Well, Dr. Diron Fawibe, Chairman, International Energy Services Limited, thank you very much for your time and your contribution. And it's a wrap on the program. See you again next time. I am Folashade Ogurinde. Bye for now.